Imagine planning the trip of a lifetime, a journey to a place spoken about in hushed tones, a destination shrouded in both beauty and infamy. But what if, hidden behind breathtaking landscapes and echoing silence, lurked an invisible threat capable of changing your life in an instant? What if your dream vacation spot could silently kill you? Across the globe, beneath rolling hills, abandoned towns, and even bustling cities, lie pockets of danger so potent that merely standing in the wrong place for a few minutes could have devastating consequences. These are not scenes from science fiction or the distant past. They are real places, marked by the scars of human ambition and the wild unpredictability of nature. Radiation, an unseen force, lingers here in concentrations thousands of times higher than normal, a silent adversary to all who venture too close. From the remnants of nuclear disasters to naturally occurring radioactive zones, these locations stand as some of the most dangerous places humanity has ever encountered. Let us embark on an unsettling journey through the top 10 most radioactive places on Earth. A haunting tour that reveals the true magnitude of what lies beyond the surface. First, we find ourselves in Chernobyl, Ukraine. In April 1986, the world watched in horror as Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded, unleashing radioactive materials estimated to be 400 times more potent than the Hiroshima bomb. The disaster rendered entire regions uninhabitable, creating a vast exclusion zone. Today, the forests and abandoned buildings of Chernobyl possess an eerie serenity, yet in certain hotspots, the radiation remains so concentrated that a single misstep could prove fatal. Wolves, deer, and wild horses roam freely among the ruins, seemingly unbothered, but the radioactive legacy of Chernobyl lingers in the soil, the water, and even the air. Halfway around the world, the coastal region of Fukushima, Japan, tells a more recent tale. In March 2011, a massive earthquake and ensuing tsunami overwhelmed the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, causing catastrophic core meltdowns. The event forced the evacuation of entire towns, their streets now silent and overgrown. Radiation seeps into the earth and water, affecting not only humans but also the wildlife that have reclaimed the area. Wild boar, monkeys, and even domesticated pets left behind have adapted to this altered environment. But Geiger counters tell the true story. Danger still lurks beneath the tranquil surface. Journeying to Central Asia, we encounter Mylusu in Kyrgyzstan, a town that once thrived on Soviet uranium mining. Today, over 23 radioactive waste dumps lie scattered throughout the region, many alarmingly close to where people live. Landslides and floods threaten to unleash these toxic materials into local rivers, raising fears of contamination on a scale that could affect generations. For the people of Mylusu, radiation is not an abstract threat. It is a daily reality. The polygon in Kazakhstan, once known as the Semipalatinsk test site, is a harsh testament to the nuclear arms race. Between 1949 and 1989, the Soviet Union conducted 456 nuclear tests here, leaving the land pockmarked with craters and saturated with radioactive fallout. Although the tests ended decades ago, the contamination persists. Villages near the site report elevated rates of cancer and birth defects, and the soil remains dangerous to this day. The polygon stands as a stark reminder of the long-term costs of weapons development. On the banks of the Columbia River in the United States lies the Hanford site, a facility built as part of the Manhattan Project during World War II. Hanford produced plutonium for the first nuclear bombs, but its legacy is one of pollution. Over 1 million gallons of radioactive waste have leaked into the surrounding soil and groundwater, threatening not just the environment, but also the communities that depend on the river. Cleanup efforts continue, but experts warn that Hanford will remain hazardous for centuries. Crossing the Atlantic, we arrive at Sellafield in the United Kingdom. Once at the forefront of nuclear reprocessing, Sellafield is also notorious for a series of radioactive leaks, some of which found their way into the Irish Sea. The plant's complex history includes fires, accidents, and environmental concerns that persist to this day. Fishermen, residents, and environmentalists remain wary as traces of radioactive material have been detected in local seafood and beaches. In Russia, the Mayak Production Association is infamous as one of the most contaminated places on Earth. In 1957, the Kyshtym disaster, a massive explosion at a radioactive waste storage facility, spread radioactive material across hundreds of square kilometers. The Soviets kept the accident secret for years, leaving thousands exposed to dangerous levels of radiation without warning. Even now, the area surrounding Mayak is hazardous, with rivers and lakes poisoned by decades of unchecked dumping. Not far from Chernobyl, the Pripyat River flows with a deceptive calm. Its waters, however, conceal radiation hotspots left behind by the nuclear disaster. Sediments at the riverbed still emit dangerous levels of radiation, making fishing, swimming, or even wading a potentially deadly risk. The river's quiet surface belies the invisible currents of danger that run just beneath. In South America, the city of Goiânia, Brazil, was the site of a nuclear incident that shocked the world. In 1987, scavengers found a discarded radiotherapy device in an abandoned hospital. Unaware of its danger, they broke it open, releasing a glowing blue powder, cesium-137, into their homes and neighborhoods. The result was one of the worst nuclear incidents in urban history, contaminating dozens of homes and leading to the deaths of several people. The tragedy underscored the dangers of radioactive materials even outside traditional nuclear sites. Finally, we journey to Ramsar, Iran, a city whose radioactivity is entirely natural. Due to unusually high concentrations of uranium in the local rocks, some areas in Ramsar have background radiation levels 100 times greater than the internationally accepted safety standard. Strangely, the residents of Ramsar have lived with this radiation for generations, but scientists continue to study the long-term effects of such exposure. Radiation, as Dr. Karen Fielding, a nuclear physicist, points out, is not just about immediate exposure. Its effects can be insidious, manifesting years or even decades after contact. Cancer, genetic mutations, and ecological collapse are just a few of the long-term consequences that can echo through generations. Dr. Ivan Petrov of the International Atomic Energy Agency underscores the gravity of the situation. Some of these areas may never be safe for human habitation again. The isotopes responsible for so much devastation have half-lives stretching thousands of years, a sobering reminder that the legacy of radiation is measured not in decades, but in millennia. But perhaps the most curious twist in this tale is that, for some of these sites, the danger itself has become a draw. Chernobyl, for example, has evolved into a macabre tourist destination. Every year, thousands of visitors don protective gear and follow guides through abandoned villages and forests where Geiger counters click ominously in the background. They are drawn by a mixture of fascination, thrill-seeking, and a desire to bear witness to history's mistakes. But how safe is it really? While regulated tours minimize risk, an errant step or an unauthorized foray into restricted zones could have irreversible consequences. Ultimately, the most radioactive places on Earth are more than just cautionary tales. They are monuments to human ambition, error, and the raw, unpredictable power of nature. They force us to confront uncomfortable questions. How much risk are we willing to accept in our pursuit of progress? At what point does curiosity give way to recklessness? And how do we ensure that the lessons written in radiation are not forgotten, but guide us toward a safer future? For in these places, dangers remain, unseen, silent, and waiting. Some threats you can't see until it's too late.